There you go. Hey y'all, hey, and welcome to Tootie Talk Says. Why is it? Yeah, let me try to get my background up. You see my green screen and stuff in the back. I don't know why my background haven't kicked in. What I want to do today? Where's my Tootie Talk Sense background? There you go. There you go. Hopefully, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Okay. As y'all can see, I just didn't want to be late. So let me try to put this up. Try to put this computer up a little bit higher. I didn't want to be late, so I didn't get in here. And I ain't organized yet. But I wanted to make sure it started on time. But this ain't gonna take me long, y'all. I'm just setting up everything. Just setting up everything that I need to talk about, which is only we're gonna be talking about chapter 12 of the Worthy book. I think it's called Unmourned Loss. But I want to make sure they know to those who you need to know how to grieve and so check out the book. Okay. And I think I am pretty much done. Yeah. So just bear with me. Bear with me. It ain't gonna be long. But I figure I'll be on here doing it. So, everybody who I just set up the schedule. My goal is to actually start being on time. And to be on here on the time because actually, y'all, I had this set up for 4:30, not realizing I had an appointment at 4:30. It was through Zoom, me and my daughter. So I got home, we did the appointment, and then after the appointment, I'm like, okay, let me start cooking. I made some stuffed chicken breasts. It's stuffed with spinach and cheese and minced onion, like a cheese blend that I made with the spinach, and that's what I stuffed the chicken breast with. And that's in the oven right now. So I did that, and I'm setting up there. Cheese blend that I made with the spinach, and that's what I stuffed. Echo. So I'm sitting up there, and I'm upstairs like, okay, I did good. I can go ahead and have my Tito's. It's Friday. Let me relax. And it dawned on me that I had rescheduled this for 5:30, and I need to get downstairs. At that time, it's 5:27. I'm like, oh my God, let me go set up this computer. So that's why I'm on here, and I'm not straight into it because I am still setting up settings. As you can see, y'all see my green background when I first got on here. But I wanted to ensure that I was here on time because I'm going to do better. You got to do better this year, okay? Now, hey, y'all, hey, welcome to Tootie Talk Says. Here I go. We're going to talk about tonight chapter 12 of Jada Pinkett Smith book, Worthy. I'm just letting everyone know that there's a trigger warning. I put that in the title because it's in this chapter we deal with death, and we deal with two different types of death, where it's by the hands of someone else and it's by the hands of that person. So that's why I put trigger warning in the title, because I don't, if you know my subscribers who watch, and my new ones, if you don't know, I don't really do clickbait. I don't do little tricky titles and just for you to get on the video and things of that nature, because I get so annoyed when people do it for me. I want the title to be what's up in there. Don't be having me to click on here just so you can get the views, and now I'm annoyed and I don't come back. So I don't understand. But to each their own, yeah. So let's go ahead and pick up on chapter 12. It's called The Loss Unmourned. So in early 1985, Eazy-E calls Jada from the hospital. He wasn't doing well. He was recovering from pneumonia. He called to say he heard she was directing for California Love, and Tupac was not on it yet. But she came up with a concept of the Mad Max theme. After Dre let her have Max theme, after Dre is not a good idea to be on the set with Suge, Eazy made her promise to step away and he would give her a different video to shoot. She asked to visit him at the hospital. He said it's too much of a hassle and he will be home soon. Jada gave an excuse to Dr. Dre team why she could not do the video. The song had complications and was pushed back, and then Tupac was added, and it made an already banging song more banging. She said that it was good. Easy told her not to do the video because Pac wanted her there for the video either. The video got made using her Mad Max concept, but was directed by Hype Williams instead. That was the last time she ever heard E voice because she called him E. A few days later, the news broke that he was transferred to ICU and was suffering from full-blown AIDS. Eric Wright was only 31. He decided to go public about his health because he wanted to raise awareness that AIDS didn't affect only gay men or drug addicts, because he was neither. Jada felt bad she didn't get to say goodbye and didn't know how to mourn his death, so she didn't mourn and kept it moving. When she visited Pac at Dean Lamora, now I'm probably pronouncing that wrong like usual, but that's the other jail that he ended up going to. He had muscles and looked happy. She had been sending him books, and he eventually wrote 2 strips, one called Kendrick Spirit and the other a fictional depiction of his legal ordeal. She found out Pac was damn near running a prison and advocating for prison reform. Most inmates love him, which caused him some hate from other inmates in the guards. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna put this in here too because I am at home. I don't have to rush today. I am off work. I'm not doing this on my lunch, y'all. So I can put in the comments the invite that if you're watching and you want to hop on this live, that you can. So, and also don't forget, if you're just coming on, like the video, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't, and follow me on all my other social medias, Tootie Talk Sense for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Fanbase, and Twitter is Tootie Talks. Now, let's continue. So most inmates loved him, which caused him some hate from other inmates and the guards. Pac was feeling himself. As soon as they uncuffed him, he grabbed and kissed Jada. She screamed, "Boy!" and Pac laughed and said, "Come on, stop being a square. I'm up in here with these ugly N-words all day. What do you want from me?" She said, "Pac, please." He said, "Well, shit, you ain't gonna marry me. A kiss is the least you can do." And they both laughed. She went up there with MC Lyte and another female rapper named Neferti. I'm pronouncing that wrong to you. Get used to it. Pac tells them he's signing with Suge Knight. And she said, "You sure you want to do that?" But didn't press him in front of the girls. So she decided to go back on another day on her own. While she was on the way to visit alone, she thought about the year before when Pac told her he wrote a song about their mother. The song was really about his mother, but the sentiments was about being kids with a mother who struggled with addiction. He sent her the cassette of Dear Mama. In the first verse, when I was young and my mama had me 17 years old, kicked out on the street. Now back in the days, all that ain't on there. It stopped on streets. But once you hear that part, you got to keep going because it's Pac. But she said, Jada said it made her cry because she witnessed their struggle, but she loved the way Pac honored her, which is his mom. She loved the way Pac honored his mom. It made her reflect on her mom. On that drive down to the prison, because as she said, she was going to go see him by herself because she didn't like that he was signing to Suge, but she didn't want to say it in front of the other girls because Pac is a Gemini. Don't you be coming at me in front of people, okay? On that drive, she thought about different encounters she had with Suge. One was with one of her girlfriends, was invited to a restaurant by Suge. She didn't want to go alone, so she asked Jada to come with her. In this encounter, he was charming like a big teddy bear. The next time she saw him was at a club where she witnessed his intimidation tactics. He was meeting with a group of young men from an R&B group. He had a group of killers with him. Suge sat there with a cigar in his mouth, looking like a mafia to a group of unthreatening men. She also listened to Eazy-E's stories of his encounter with Suge. She wanted to convince Pac that there was a way to get out of jail without Suge. Pac was about to release Me Against the World, which included Dear Mama. Suge had got the $1.4 million to get Pac released from jail. He said he would owe Suge 3 albums. He would make the first album a double album so it would count as 2, and then make one more so he would be done. She couldn't convince Pac, and Pac thought he had it all under control. Next, she changed and say, and Pac thought she had it all under control. So then she goes to talking about her friend Maxine. So her friend Maxine, and if you remember Maxine, she had talked about Maxine before. She said her friend Maxine had started to change, and she wanted Jada to start calling her Coco. And she was like, call me Coco, please, Jada, call me Coco. And Jada said, no, because your mama named you Maxine, so I'm calling you Maxine. She said Will was cool with calling her Coco, and Will was like, okay, Coco. And this made Maxine love Will even more. So Maxine was eccentric. One day, Jada got a call from her neighbor that her roommate Maxine was pacing around talking to herself and banging on the front door. She rushed home, and Maxine had on a robe but was naked underneath. Jada see that Max seemed disoriented, and out of it, she asked Max, what happened, Max? She said she got locked out. And again, for the people who's just not joining, go ahead, like the video. We're going over chapter 12 of Jada Pinkett Smith book, Worthy. And also coming up is the trigger warning about self-harm. So a few days later, Max was wearing a short skirt. And if she moved a certain way, Jada see she didn't have on panties. Jada said, Maxine. She said, call me Coco, please, Jada. Call me Coco. So Jada said, Coco, you can't go out like that. You have to put something on up under that skirt. Max was becoming increasingly manic. Max was sent back to Toronto to the hospital, then to her mother. Jada found out that Max probably had a thyroid condition that can make you mentally off, to make you mentally off if you're unbalanced, to make you mentally unbalanced, right? So what I thought to myself, right, this is not part of the book, right? But what I thought to myself is like, all this time, I thought something was wrong with my sister because she's just mentally off. Because she got a bad attitude. She batshit crazy. You know, she be switching it on and off on me. And then I was like, I thought it was just because she was a Scorpio. Y'all Scorpios finna be out there hanging. But y'all know y'all be take that tail and sting people. But I said, when I read that, I thought about it because I was like, well, she got a thyroid condition. So a couple years back, she was diagnosed with a thyroid condition. So I was like, oh, she ain't cray. And that probably ain't even her fault. It's probably ain't because she's a crazy Scorpio. It's probably because her thyroid condition, and she probably had to get her levels and stuff on balance. But I can say that because she don't watch the channel, so I could call her cray, y'all. She don't watch. I be talking all type of crap on him. It's gonna be funny when they actually start watching. They'll be like, I said, what, girl? Was I drinking? But anyway, so she talked to Max throughout the summer and felt guilty after every conversation because Max would beg to come back to LA, and Jada tell her as soon as she gets better. Jada was on set and Will was there, which was rare, but she get a call from Judy, and she tells her that Maxine had jumped off her mother's balcony to her death. Jada was devastated and heartbroken, but wouldn't allow herself to feel. So she hung up, looked at Will, and said, Maxine committed Suicide. I have to say it because I have to spell it because they said some words in YouTube triggers the algorithm and get your channel strike, and there's certain words you can't say. Yeah, hold on a minute. This is that child mess. Hold on. Yeah, every time I call, I have to take it because you never know. Even though she right upstairs, yeah. But Jada was devastated and heartbroken, but she wouldn't allow herself to feel. She hung up, looked at Will, and said, "Maxine committed SUICID." Will was frozen, and so she just fell on top of him, and they made love so she could shut out the pain. A memorial was planned, but she couldn't go because she felt ashamed, and she felt like it was her fault. Like she wouldn't have jumped if Jada let her come back to LA. She talked to Maxine's mother, and she was inconsolable after losing her only child. And her Maxine's mother died a year later, and Jada felt like she died of a broken heart. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I finished up to this part, which is like half the chapter, like 3 weeks ago, and it took me all this time to go back and finish this chapter, just because it seems unbearable to even. Yeah, why am I okay? I'm trying to make sure I still got sound. Yeah, okay. So it seems unbearable. Like I can't even imagine losing a child, and then from Jada perspective, Maxine, she talked about since the beginning of the book. And to lose a friend that was so close, plus I have a personal experience of finding someone who had attempted that, and it's just devastating. And you just think about, like, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Should I have reached out more? Is there a way for you to prevent it? Like, you feel awful for it. And when you're close to the person, everybody's coming to you, like asking you all the questions. What happened? Well, what made this person do it? Well, and you're just like, you don't know, because certain people, a lot of people who take their own life, they don't talk about it. And sometimes you see it with what was the comedian? Robin. And how everybody said he was so happy. And then I hear the song Tears of the Clown. Sometimes people just don't talk about it. They just keep it all in, and you could be with them. Even Twitch, I just seen on TikTok, the guy who was on Ellen. I just seen on TikTok this happy dancing video that he posted 24 hours before he took his own life. So I said, besides that, going through all that as the friend, I'm also thinking about how the person who made this decision feel, and that the person is devastated. That to make this decision is not an easy decision that a person makes. Like, when you at that point, people feel like that they don't have any other options. Oh yeah, I want to make sure that while I'm talking about this, that I give the information for I guess unaliving yourself prevention. I want to make sure that I have that up on the stream while we're talking about this, just in case anybody who happens to see this, is watching this, needs the information. And I want to make sure that it's available to anybody who think they need it. So let me look in here, because I took a screenshot of it and I want to put the screenshot up. But I also could tell you from your cell phones, you can dial 988. To anybody who, it's 24 hours, it's free for anybody who's considering or need to talk to someone. And you can also text 988. They have a They have a website that's called Life, 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 Line, line.org. I'm trying to get the picture up, but this computer is moving so slow, y'all, that hopefully it could come up and y'all could see it. Y'all could talk about it. Anybody who needs it will be able to use it. So I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna be up, and it's gonna make me smaller, which is absolutely fine. Y'all can still see me. Hey, but if this stuff pops up, I don't know if at this time of the day that StreamYard, they got a lot of people on it or what, because it is moving slow. It is crawling. Everything's taking forever to process. And then it just told me that it cannot add the slides. I'm gonna try it one more time before I decide to move on, because I really do just want this up here while I'm talking, because of the subject matter that we're talking about with unaliving yourself, that I really do just want the hotline up there. Even though I said it, you can call from your cell phone, pick up any phone, dial 988. You can dial or you can text 988, and you can go to the website, lifeline.org. Okay, so I'm going to leave that up there for anybody who may need it while I'm continuing to talk about this. So, like I was saying, that it's for the person who decides to do this. Like, it took me so long to start back with this chapter because of the personal experience that I've been through with dealing with people who have tried it, and everything that you go through as a person dealing with it, but then thinking about that person, because you have to take yourself out the situation and think about what that person must be dealing with to make that their only option. And I'm like, that person has to feel helpless, because everyone I know who have attempted or thought about it, it took a long journey to get there. It wasn't like a spur of the moment decision. I know some people feel like it's the easy way out, but typically for the person who's doing it or is attempting it, it's one of the hardest decisions that they have ever made. So if you're watching the channel, never make that decision. Know that it may not seem like it now, but it does get easier. And there's a 24-hour line. You can text or call 988, and someone can help you through. There's also a website, and it's called lifeline.org. And if y'all know any other resources, you can drop it down in the comments and leave it there. Or if you just want to send words of encouragement for somebody who may be going through, depression or having these thoughts, just send words of encouragement in the comments. So let me get back to the book. So it took me 3 weeks. I had to stop there. Just the thought of a mama, her only child. A year later, the mom passed. And it's pretty much, they feel like from heartbreak from losing her only child. So then, okay, so I started back today to finish this chapter out. So back then, Jada didn't know how to grieve. So she kept it moving, and she stuffed down the pain and guilt. There are all types of pain that we don't stop to mourn, but not just the loss of a loved one through death, but the breakup of a friendship or a divorce or a separation. She was haunted by the memory of the first time she seen Pac after his release from prison. They met up at a restaurant. They were meeting because Pac had a movie he wanted them to do together called Gridlock. His vibes has changed since he got with Suge, but she can't make it all Suge's fault. She feel like his vibe has changed since he came home from jail, and she like, well, hell, who wouldn't? She thought he was allowing his disappointment, bitterness, and anger to be preyed upon. She tells him she's worried about him, and Pac get pissed and lean in her face and say, You don't need to be worried about me. And since you got all Hollywood, you forgot what it take for a real nigga out here. She was concerned about his vengeance since he was shot and released from prison, and thought the East Coast West Coast beef would land Pac back in jail or worse. Pac say, I know what you think about me. You can't fucking hide from me. You didn't gone all Hollywood. That's cool. That's why I got my real partners out here. Now, by this time, I guess, drug dealer Jada had been woken, because she leaned back in his face and she was trying to keep her voice down because they in a restaurant, they both celebrities. But she said she leaned back in his face and was like, who the fuck you think you talking to? I was like, okay. Who the fuck you think you talking to, boy? She didn't say boy, but that's how I see it in my man. So she said she leaned up and was like, who the fuck you think you talking to? She told him, you're being reckless. I don't know who the fuck you are anymore. And Pac said, ditto, nigga. I said, that's that Gemini right there, because that's some shit I say. I love a ditto, nigga. Like, but anyway, they go back and forth and they both become angry and it gets heated. She says, so she gets up and she walk away without saying goodbye. She called her manager, who's Will's friend, and he's also managing Will. And she's yelling and she crying and she like, fuck Tupac. I don't want to ever see him anymore. I don't want to do the movie and I don't want to see him. She knew that in enough time of giving each other the silent treatment, they would eventually apologize to each other and start back talking. But this time he had to call her first because he was out of line. So as if in previous chapters, I forget what chapters, but she was like, that was her and Tupac. Like that's their MO. Like they'll get into it. They're too strong-winded, like bulls coming towards each other. So they're too strong-willed people. And so they'll get to talking, they'll get to arguing, and then they'll go stop talking, they'll get mad at each other, stop talking, then they'll come back together, apologize, and they back friends. So Jada worries if you have a blow up with someone who you really cherish, don't play the game of waiting on them to get wise and fix it. So almost a year passed, and then September 8th, 1996, Pac was shot in Las Vegas, and she was in Toronto shooting the movie Woo. She was on set when Pac's mother paged her, and she called her back. Afina told her what happened. Jada said, I can shut down the set and come. But Afina said, it's okay. He's in a coma, but he'll be all right. So she said Afina never thought that Pac was going to pass. Everybody thought that he was going to pull through. So Jada's birthday is September 18th. Will had planned an early birthday party because he was going to be out the country on her birthday. So she was leaving to go to New York for the stuff that Will had planned for her family, his family, to get together and celebrate her birthday. So she asked Pac's mother, should she cancel the trip? But she was like, no, go ahead, just come after the trip because Pac should be out the coma by then. So his mom assured her that everyone was down there holding it down. Pac's fiance was down there and like, no rush, come afterwards. He'll be woke. Go ahead, enjoy your birthday thing. So the next 5 days, she checks with his mom and plans to go to see him in Vegas on the 14th, regardless if he was woke or not. The night of the 13th, Sheree, who was Will's ex-wife, called Will, and Jada overheard her say, Pac just died. So Jada got pissed and told him to hang up the phone. She don't know what the fuck she talking about. Then she get a knock on the door, and it was Fun. You know, her friend Fun from they all. I want to say it was either Baltimore College. I can't remember right now. And she knew from her face that it was true that Tupac had died. She was devastated, and she felt like she lost a piece of herself. Y'all have to go and like read the book or listen to the audio, the audible, like I'm doing. But and she goes into a long description on how much the Tupac death bothered her and how it felt like she lost a piece of herself, and like just the emotions that she dealt with losing him. So it took her a long time, but she eventually became glad she never made it to Vegas. So the last memory of him won't be in the bed dying. She was upset when she found out Pac was cremated and believed Suge was behind that decision. She started to question that because he was murdered and the first thing you want to do is burn his body. She never heard Pac say he wanted to be cremated. He had only talked about being buried, even in his songs. And what if they needed his body for more evidence? His mom chose to have a private ceremony in Jasmine backyard. Now, I'm assuming she's talking about Jasmine Guy because that's who he lived with at a point during the trial. So that's who I'm assuming she's talking about. So when Jada opened the door, it was Suge. There's a knock at the door. They over for the private ceremony for Tupac. There's a knock at the door. She go open the door, and it's Suge. And he was the one who delivered Pac ashes to her in the cardboard box, just a little cardboard box that they got from the funeral home. So she'll never forget the smile that was in his eye, like your homie. Oh, she'll never forget the smile that was in his eye, like there's your homie, when he gave her the ashes. She admit she was like she could be over exaggerating because her friend is dead, and Suge smirked, but she just still wanted him to pay. She hated herself in hip hop and everyone in hip hop for years. She felt like she let Pac down in the end. She's been there for so many years, but in the end, she didn't know how to show up in a way that didn't rock the boat. So what I thought about was what she's meaning how to show up in the end, not the part of him in the hospital. What she's talking about was show up in the end is the part that she's seen him dealing with a situation with Suge, and she didn't like it, but she didn't know how to be there for him without them bumping heads, without voicing her opinion. That's what I feel like she mean when she say show up in the end without rocking the boat. It was complex. It was complicated because some people believe Suge had done right by Pac and his family, but she knew different. She felt Pac life had been stolen as he was making moves to change the direction of his life. She said there was a lot happening, and if she kept going, it would put will in it, and she didn't want that. Pac had done a lot to keep her out of the world, so she swallowed her pride and walked away. But thank God his mother saved the day and exposed how Pac had been exploited financially while at death row. And that was only the half of it. She stuffed everything down and never felt the same about hip hop or the streets. Now this is the end of the chapter where she what I call them, like, you can do journal entries. So when out grief can't be spoken, it falls into the shadows. Oh, when grief can't be spoken, it falls into the shadows and re-arise as symptoms. So many of us are depressed, anxious, and lonely. She does often see grief addressed. She doesn't often see grief addressed directly or at all when it comes to spiritual recovery or emotional sobriety. Too many of us become stuck in grief because we don't understand the need to grieve. Culturally, we are not taught how to grieve. She feared her grief and hoped that staying busy in time would make all the pain go away. The accumulation of unresolved grief collects in the body and eventually feeds into our depressive state, into our angry, shame, and heartbreak. Maturity teaches us to respect grief. The fact that life is full of losses of many kinds can be difficult to accept and embrace. But if we have the courage to make friends with the tense feeling that comes with mourning process, we give ourselves permission to be vulnerable. For many of us, it's daunting to remove our armor and experience our vulnerability. But if we can respect that space in ourselves and others, then we can't touch our grief, and we won't make safe spaces for others to touch theirs. It's in the respect and care for vulnerability that we can find intimacy with others, and others learn to hold space with love for intense emotions like grief. Are there any loss in your life that you have not given yourself the permission to mourn? Do you know how to grieve? If not, check out the book Wild Edge of Sorrow as a start. A note to those who have lost someone special. A note to those who have lost someone special. You'll never get over it. So stop looking for the moment. We just learn to accept it and cope with the fact that they are no longer here, and place them on a altar in our heart and celebrate them there. So y'all, that is the end of chapter 12. I don't know, how did y'all like it? How did y'all like chapter 12? Like for me, to me, it was a set chapter, and that's why I said trigger warning, because it's a chapter that deals with her friend unaliving herself, and a year later, the friend mom dies of heartbreak, and it deals with Tupac death. So, but I also feel like there's good parts in there, because she's talking about how to deal with grief, and in our community, that we're not taught how to deal with grief, and I believe that that's true. So I know, like, this year it is, my mom died in 01, so this year on her anniversary date, it'll be 23 years. And initially, that was not me dealing with it. That was just a bunch of anger, okay? And I gotta say, just in my family, but in families general, when someone passes, especially the person that holds the family together, there's a lot of anger. But either people look for a person to blame, and so the families will get into it, and it'll be a lot of mess. And sometimes that takes away from the grieving process, and sometimes you're not allowed for a space to grieve, or you don't know you need to grieve. So I just took there was a lot of time being angry before I sat and dealt with it. A lot of times it's not even being able to talk about my mom or the memories and things of that nature, because my dad had also passed before that. So it took a long time, but then once you sit there and deal with it, the memory of for me, not for everybody, for me, the memory of that person become a comfort. So what have been y'all experience, and what tip would you advise someone if they're dealing with grief right now? So that is the end of that chapter, y'all. I don't know when I'm gonna get to chapter 13. Hopefully it will be next week. If I can do a chapter a week, great. And I'm finna go ahead and get out here and drink my Tito's for this Friday. And put me on some music and have me a good time. Y'all enjoy y'all day. Remember that number is right there, that 988 that you can call, text if you're in crisis and need to talk to someone, and it's 24 hours. Go ahead and like this video. Do I have my comments on? Yes. Go ahead and like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Follow me on the social medias. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, fan base is Tootie Talk Sense, and Twitter is Tootie Talks, y'all. So y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. I will catch y'all next time, and we'll see what we're gonna discuss then. Also put in the comments what you feel like the next subject would be. Yeah, be blessed and enjoy your night. Bye.